Oh hey, it's Emily, and today I'm going to be talking about the books I read in the month of October. Now I did move in October, so it was a pretty busy month. Most of these I listened to on audio because that was just what was the most feasible, and I love audiobooks anyway. So I had a really fun reading month. Let's just dive right in. The first thing I read or finished in the month of October was A Fire with Fire by Destiny Soria, and this is a standalone YA fantasy. This is a Fairy Loot edition, and it's nice to receive a standalone every now and again. And this is a sister-centered story with dragons, so pretty fun. It's a contemporary fantasy as well, set in the modern world, just plus dragons and some people who have some magical abilities. And we follow two sisters who come from a family of dragon slayers, and they intend to follow in those footsteps. One of the sisters becomes, through circumstances, becomes bonded to a dragon, and kind of starts to change her perspective after that happens, and there's some politics going on between some of these different dragon slayer families and some other people in this world, and so the sisters kind of get caught up with this, and it's about, you know, their experience being, you know, kind of on very different perspectives throughout this novel, and how that kind of conflict you know, has them apart at different times, but they really try to understand each other and support each other. It was a good time. It was entertaining. I don't know if this is going to be one of my most memorable fairy loots or one of the most memorable YA fantasies I have on my shelf, but it was a fun time, and yeah, just a nice standalone contemporary YA fantasy that follows a sister relationship first and foremost, and just dragons. I mean, it's just fun, you know? The next thing I finished in the month of October was the last book in the A Study in Charlotte series. I don't have a physical copy of the last one, but my hold for the audiobook came through, and so I wanted to finish out this series. I believe it's A Question of Homes. I'll pop up an image here. This is a fun series that follows if the Holmes family, the Watson family, and the Moriarty family were real, and you follow their descendants in present day, what would that look like? And so you follow the descendants of these three families. They're still embroiled in a bunch of shenanigans and still have some animosity between these different families, but you also have some people in these families who have actually tried to get beyond that animosity, and you just have interesting dynamics between these families, and it's super fun. It's super fun, and I really enjoyed finishing this series out. I'm not going to talk about the plot of the last one in particular, but you follow the descendant of Watson and Holmes, mostly in the first one. You follow Charlotte and Jamie, and they meet at school and solve mysteries that become more and more complicated and entangle all three families in what happened. So super fun series. I think if you like the Truly Devious series, you'll really dig this. Or if you just like Sherlock reimaginings and one in the contemporary setting with some younger characters sounds interesting, I would give it a go. I had a good time with it. The next thing I read in October was The Xhex by Erin Sterling, and this was super fun. Like, I just wanted something that was fun and easy to get through, easy to listen to, but really just had fun, witchy vibes for October, and this delivered exactly what I wanted it to. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing that is really gonna stick with me forever, but it was cute, it was fun, it was entertaining, really hilarious. I think I listened to this again on audio. I think the narrator did a really great job, and it was just fun to be in this. Follows a small town, think Stars Hollow, and the founders of this town are actually in the UK. One of them needs to come back in order to renew the ley lines, and 9 years ago our two main characters had kind of had a thing, and it didn't end well. So our heroine goes home and ends up cursing him with a Bath and Body Works candle. She doesn't think it actually works. She's just kind of letting off some steam, feeling her feelings, so to speak, and doesn't think anything about it. And then 9 years later, when he's coming back to renew the ley lines, he starts running into a bunch of trouble and realizes that this curse is very, very real, and they need to team up in order to make sure that it doesn't wreak havoc on the whole town. It was just fun, it was quirky and entertaining, and it was exactly what I expected it to be and what I wanted it to be, and I had a good time with it. The next book that I finished was The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova, and this one was amazing. I really love this one. The writing in this is absolutely stunning. This is more of a magical realism book, and you follow a family where Orquídea Divina is kind of the matriarch of this family, and she sends out a note to her family that she is about to kind of move on, and she invites them to basically get the things that she wants to give them in her will. And you know, there's some magic associated with this family and with Orquídea, and she, you know, just little things here and there that the family doesn't really pay attention to, but are kind of magic that have been integrated into their lives. So you follow Orquídea's past, and they kind of tell the story of who Orquídea is and what her life has been like. And you also follow in the present day the rest of her family coming together and watching her become a tree, and just kind of reconnecting as a family and figuring out what it means for them to be family, fight for what's important, figure out what's important to them. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed this one. I also really liked the audiobook narrator for this one. This is also the same narrator that narrated the Hollow Crowns duology that she wrote. And I really like this narrator a lot. And yeah, beautifully written, beautiful messages and themes, and I had a really great time with this one. And the next thing that I read in the month of October was Bone Criers Dawn by Catherine Purdy. This is the sequel to Bone Criers Moon, and this one is the perfect book for October. You follow bone magic, you follow magical forests, you follow, or a forest setting. I guess magic happens in this forest, but you follow a really lovely forest setting, bone magic. These bone criers essentially help ferry the spirits of the dead between different parts of the afterlife, and so you follow a whole bunch of stuff that is really, really great for this time of year. And the first one follows it. In order to actually become a bone crier that can ferry the spirits of the dead, you need to go through a ceremony that involves you killing your one true love. And so you follow a couple of young women who are in this family of bone criers, and you follow them trying to become bone criers. For one of them, the ceremony goes wrong, and so she needs to kind of deal with the implications of that, and the story kind of goes from there. I think this is a super fun duology. I had a really great time with both books. Yeah, again, nothing groundbreaking, but just super fun. I love the atmosphere, I love the vibes. Like, it is pretty angsty and dramatic at times, but just the vibe and the world are just so much fun that I had a really great time with this one. The next book I read was probably my favorite thing that I read in the month of October, and that is Before the Devil Breaks You by Liva Bray. This is the third book in the Diviner series, and it was fan-freaking-tastic. I absolutely love this. And the Diviner series is a historical novel that follows your 1920s New York. You follow a bunch of people who are diviners, who have different magical abilities. So some are dreamwalkers, some can read objects, touch an object and kind of read its history. They're healers. You get a bunch of people with various kinds of abilities, and they, in the first one, get caught up with a murder investigation, but the story really does take off from there. So the first one, it's a super creepy series. Like, it is chilling, and you're following a murder investigation in the first one. that really sets off a chain of events with a bunch of these characters meeting and realizing that the balance between the world of the living and the world of the dead is off, and they need to right this. And it's creepy, but it's so much fun. The characters are absolutely incredible. This is such an entertaining, just spooky, creepy, fun series that I just absolutely adore. It also really focuses on, you follow a bunch of different characters from different backgrounds, and I think Libba Bray does a really great job exploring racism through this time and setting, and really speaks to a lot of things that are still very relevant today. And it's an incredible series. It's an incredible series. I love it, and I absolutely loved the third book in the series. I've heard a few more mixed things about the final book in the series, but I'll probably read that in October of next year and see what I think. It was so easy to just dive back into this world and keep going. And I listened to Before the Devil Breaks You on audio as well, and January Lavoie is one of my favorite narrators ever. If you're gonna listen to anything on audio, highly recommend this series. Like, she's a genius narrator, absolutely genius. The final thing that I read in the month of October was Kill Creek by Scott Thomas, and this one was super entertaining. I wanted to read this right around Halloween because it follows 4 horror writers who are invited to go to this haunted house under the guise of kind of an interview of sorts. They all are paid to, or offered money to go to this haunted house for an interview, and they all accept for various reasons, and for it'll help their career in various ways. And so they're all tempted to go and stay at this haunted house on October 31st. And so they go to this house and things start happening, and I'll just say things happen and it continues to follow them. And I'll just leave it at that. It was so entertaining. It was different than what I thought it would be. Not that that's a bad thing, but it was different than what I thought it would be. But it was so eerie. It was an eerie feeling that just kept building and building, with little things happening and then bigger things happening and bigger things happening. So I really enjoyed the buildup of this one. I thought the characters were super entertaining, and I was intrigued. I was intrigued to find out who these characters are, who these writers are, what kind of what their story is, and why they wanted to go to this haunted house, and what happened there. And I was super intrigued the entire time, and wanted to continue to find out what was happening. So very glad that I listened to this one and read it right around October 31st and right around Halloween. Very good time to read it. So that's everything I read in the month of October. As I said, like, a phenomenal reading month, so love to see it. And thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you have any thoughts on them. Be sure to subscribe for more bookish content. I will leave my Twitter and Instagram linked down below. That's where I like to hang out. And I will also leave more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.